and I'm not a scientist, I'm not a physicist. I am going to share with you about my own experiences, things that I have seen, things that I have experienced since I was a child, methods and tools that I apply myself and that I share with my clients. But I want you to know that this is a journey of self discovery. I am excited for you to know the capacity that we have as humans to go beyond what society, what people have told you that you are capable of. And for the longest time, I was afraid to share about this topic because I thought that people was going to think that I'm crazy. I thought nobody was going to nobody could understand me. And the reality is that as an outcome of this type of experiences, as an outcome of getting to know myself, I have built a level of self-confidence that allows me to own my own experiences and my journey and become a permission slip for you to explore and fall in love with yourself. Many people, last week, I share a video. I was in a flight going from Colombia to Houston, and I spent 5 hours in the flight. 3 of those hours, I entered in a very deep state of meditation. And in that meditative state, I had an out of body experience. So I share about it on my Instagram. And for sure, many people share with me that they were interested in experiencing that type of thing. But also, I received so many messages with misconceptions. People told me that I was irresponsible for going and exploring the astrals and not knowing all the creatures that could be out there. People told me that it was demonic to do this type of meditation. People told me that it was very irresponsible to do it in a flight or do it in a plane. And it is so beautiful to see that when I'm sharing and being so vulnerable with you, and somebody comes and totally misunderstands my point, now I don't truly care about it because I know what I have experienced. And with AI becoming more and more exposed, I feel that's also a permission slip for us to know what's the potential and the capacity of our own internet, of our own technology within. So, first of all, if you have questions about out of body experiences, and if you want to share your own experiences or the difference between deep states of meditation and these type of journeys, you can share in the comments. I want to be clear on there's a big difference between a vivid dream, an out of body experience, a lucid dream, and sleep paralysis, a deep meditative state. Because when I share about my out of body experiences, most of people say, you were just dreaming. Also, you were dreaming and you knew that you were dreaming. And the reality is that no, it is very different. You literally can step outside and can observe yourself physically, but your energy is outside. The one thing that I learned is that the term out of body experience is not totally right because it is not that your soul or your energy is coming out of your body. The soul, it's not inside of the body. Your soul is so much bigger than your body. So what happens is that in reality, imagine the soul is this circle, and somewhere in that soul, somewhere in the field of energy that you are, there's this other circle where your body is expressed, which is this third dimension. What happens in the out of body state is that you shift your consciousness, so you're not only experiencing this, but it's almost like that portion of you can go out of time and space and can travel in between places, but it is as real as I am right now speaking to you. It is not that I feel um, that I am dreaming and I know that I'm dreaming. No, I am totally awake, but I am aware that I'm in a different time. The way that this has happened to me since I was a kid, I started to experience something that it's called sleep paralysis. And in the sleep paralysis, I would feel that I was falling asleep, but I couldn't fall asleep totally, and I wasn't fully awake. So I could feel my body, but I couldn't wake up. And I will see ugly things. I will hear the sounds. If I was with my family, I will see the movies that they were watching, but I couldn't move. I was trying to move my eyes, and that had honestly, there are moments in my life in which that happens at least twice a week. and it is not something easy to live with. So for at least 2 years, I had to sleep every single night with the lights on because I was so scared to go to sleep because I immediately knew where I was getting. Some of the experiences is that literally I was sleeping and then I would turn around and I would feel like I did turn around, but my body stayed there. And it was a very uncomfortable place to be. I had like physical things that would come and talk to me, shapes, which later I understood that are expressions of my own shadow or aspects of myself that I didn't integrate yet. But it was scary, especially as a younger kid. And my mom used to have some of these experiences as well. So it was good to feel so understood because she would wake me up every time that she saw that I was trying to move my eyes because she knew I couldn't wake up. Now, the first time that I experienced something different was being in that state in which I couldn't move. I decided instead of trying to wake up, I'm just going to go out. So I focused on a place and an emotion. When you are in this state, it's almost like imagine a radio station. Right now, you are playing a salsa music, but all the other radio stations are available. You have pop music, classical music, you have country music, but you're only listening to the salsa music because that's the one that you're tuned into. It is the same with astral projection and when you're coming out of your body. Your body, it's almost a frequency that you're tuning into, but from your emotional state, you can tune into a different frequency and you're going to be transported there. Most of physical places has that have that quality. Remember that we're talking about a space where there's no time and physical space. So it feels like when I close my eyes and I start to focus in that frequency, and I started to feel a buzz in my ears, like zzz, very, very strong. And I felt a pull down from my feet that took me out of my body. I stood there and I was able to see myself sleeping perfectly there, just in the shape that I was with everything in the bedroom. My first thought was to go to a place where I had been. It was something like intuitively I knew how to move in there. Again, I'm sharing with you my own experience. So I went to a place that looked like a beach. And what's interesting is that in that space, I saw people that were sleeping and some of them were awake. So one of the ones that were awake saw me and told me like, "Oh, you're a traveler as well." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he showed me the other people that were dreaming about that place. So we were it almost like in the same frequency that the dream state, but we were conscious and the people that were there were not. When I came back from that experience, which I mean, I went to what I felt that was the womb of my mom. And I had the realization my parents took 7 years to conceive me. And in that experience, I had the realization that even though they were waiting for me, I knew exactly the moment where I needed to be born. And it was perfect timing. This is my first life, by the way. So that experience helped me realize that sometime I felt a lot of pressure because there was an expectation from me, but I realized that everything was in divine and perfect timing and that everything is always working out for me. It felt beautiful when I was there. But when I came back, I was so scared. I started to do the research and I started to post about like this noise in my ears and all the experiences that I had. And I found so many blogs, people experiencing the exact same thing. Back in that time, I didn't have like a specific way of doing it or a framework to follow. I just followed my intuition and I was able to have that experience. Mm, and I found a place that's called the Monroe Institute. And in there, they explain that there is a format, like a theory to follow. There are some steps that you can follow to enter in that state, and that includes some sounds, binaural and theta frequencies, and neuronal beats that you can follow to leave your body. There are also certain positions of the body, certain exercise that you do through the day. But what is fascinating about that is that they share that those are the same experiences that the CIA uses and has used for like years to go explore on the enemy. There are cases where they will put two people in two different rooms, and they will say, okay, let's meet out there. Let's meet out of the building. And they will have recordings, machines recording them, their sounds in each of the rooms, and they will speak. And then once they remember, they're in different places, but then when they came together, they play these two tapes at the same time, and they had the same conversation. I discovered that there's a tribe in Africa where people get married in that state. They don't have like wedding celebrations, just like the ones that we know. Everybody goes to sleep in the village, and they connect, they leave their bodies, and the celebration happens in the astrals. For the first time in my life, I felt seen. I felt that I wasn't crazy. And more than that, my background is in business consulting. I come from McKinsey, and I have spent plenty of years helping leaders. Now, my work is to be a bridge between the spiritual world and helping leaders enter these flow states for them to be a fulfilled, to live a fulfilled life. So my first idea was like, why aren't we using this? Why do we use Zoom if people could just go in the astrals and have the meetings there? I started exploring deeper and exploring more. And I remember a beautiful teacher years ago that told me there's only two frequencies that you can act from. One is love and one is fear. If you ever feel afraid, it's because you're not acting from a place of love. And when I kept entering in the sleep paralysis state, I started to send love to all these things that would appear, and everything was transformed. There was not a single thing that would scare me. There was not a single thing that would keep me stuck that I could not dissolve from a place of love. Time passed, and I kept exploring my own abilities to leave my body and to see myself in different states. Some of the most beautiful experiences that I have had is that I once was able to, like, I entered calling me. I entered this meditative state, and from there, I can almost like detach my physical self from my energy field, and I can start exploring. And some of the places that I have explored is going to explore myself as a younger self, as a younger version of me. I traveled and I saw myself, I experienced myself just like I am experiencing you right now. Getting ready for school, I was probably around 14, 12 years old. And I would look at myself in the mirror and I would feel my skin young again. We don't realize when we're getting older. And obviously, because we're seeing ourselves day to day, we don't feel how we're changing. But when I went there and I was able to experience my skin again as it was back there, it was beautiful. And at the same time, I got scared because I felt like I couldn't come back for a second. And I would close my eyes and enter in the meditation that I use and I guide my clients with to try to move into a different timeline or come back to this one, and it wouldn't work. It will take me to even another one. So I feel that because I was acting from fear, I was stuck in there. The second in which I allowed myself to have a conversation with my parents in that other state, I felt so comprehended that I immediately felt like I could breathe. It's almost like I breathe back into my body again. And the ways in which I enter this physical body is through my crown and through my belly button. And another experience was I'm 31. And I have been questioning a lot if I'm going to be a mother, if that is going to happen. And the realization that I had is that it's not that I want to have kids, I want to be a mother. And I'm going to let my kids choose me, choose when it's right, and choose the family that they want to be born in. But in one meditation where I experienced that my body left, it was almost that like I didn't give the instruction, but a version of me pulled me out and brought me there. And it was a version of me that already has kids. And I was able to experience motherhood and experience the love of a mother from there. And those are some experiences that have allowed me to know that my power and the power within, it's so mesmerizing, it's so beyond any limits of the mind. And the way in which I have brought that into business, in which I have brought into my life, is that the idea of my potential and the idea of the limits that I used to have before, they don't even make sense. Now I feel that life is much more like a playground. And I am a permission slip for myself to fully embrace this reality that I'm experiencing, and letting and being a permission slip for other people to do the same. The place where I take my clients and where I take myself so that we can live a more fulfilled life in this reality, because that's the goal. It's not going somewhere else just to explore. It is to go and gather the tools that are going to make this lifetime better for you. Is that there's a space in between, a bridge in between your beta state, the frequency when you're awakened and you're stressed and your cortisol is high, and your gamma state or theta state in which you are dissolving in the nothingness. And that in that bridge, there's a place in which you feel so present and so connected. It is called flow state. So everything that you do in life, you do it from a state of pleasure. You're doing it. For me, doing this video before was like something that I had to hold and something that I had to carry with me, and almost like a responsibility. But now it is a vehicle for the expansion of my soul, for the expansion of my identity, for me to become more of who I am in this experience of life. And the same happens with my meditation. Many people say they cannot sit still and they cannot meditate, but there's a moment, there's a bliss point. I'm going to share about that with you. There's a bliss point in which it almost meditation becomes addictive. Hey, not because you're going and escaping anything, but because you feel so good in your body, because you feel a level of love, a level of radical self acceptance, because you feel the deliciousness of the human you choose to be, that state of wholeness and completion makes you want to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And that is the frequency in which you go and live your life. The bliss point is a term that is used in marketing to describe the type of snacks or that in between point where you have the salty, sweet, and sour that makes something so addictive and that you can't stop eating. That is the same place where we get when we implement these practices. And that's how you can choose what to become addicted to, which is the only thing that is amazing to become addicted to is to yourself, to explore yourself. It's almost like a romantic relationship because you're dating yourself, you're questioning, you're curious. And that is so beautiful. It is the joy of my life to share these things with you, because there's nothing that makes me more sad than people that die without truly getting to know themselves. And I know that this it is so vast, we're never going to be capable of fully getting to know ourselves, but to at least have the curiosity to question things, to at least have that aim to go deeper within. So the way in which we can enter these states is by changing the biochemistry of our bodies, becoming so relaxed and so comfortable on our body first, in the physical aspect first, that we can tune into a different frequency. The beauty and the results of it is that anytime that you are in a discussion, that you're in a meeting, when you're planning a project, a business, you can always zoom out and observe yourself from a different perspective. There's in the book Back to Love, I think that's the name, which from by Marianne Williamson, based on the Book of Miracles. It says that a miracle is just a shift in perspective, and that is the way that I live my life. I live a life full of the most beautiful miracles. In my out of body experiences, I have been able to travel to other timelines, to places that physically look different. And I am just gonna take this chance to fully come out of my astral closet. I have had the opportunity to speak with beings that I call teachers, to speak with versions of myself, to speak with myself as a child, to understand why I choose my parents, to understand the capacities that I have. And there's a very powerful movie that's called Everything Everywhere at the Same Time that speaks about this. It speaks about why, when you have a dream, is because there's a version of you already living it. Why, when you feel passionate about something, it's because there's a version of you that connects with that thing very, very deeply and has been able to experience more of themselves through that. Remember that your only purpose in life is to deploy yourself, to become more and more of who you are. And now we have two ways of go about this. AI can be a powerful tool to resemble the internet and the capacity that we have within to allow us to explore, or it can also be a vehicle in which we give our power away, and whatever is spending more time with the screens that in this physical reality. And at some point, all the other realities that are going to be created are going to make that this reality is just an optional one. um so you can become very, very disconnected. There's also a lot of AI psychosis already happening, where you think that AI has a special mission for you, or that you have an emotional relationship to it. So my invitation is for you to combine AI with HI, which is human intelligence, and DI, which is divine intelligence. Many people are afraid of losing themselves, not feeling grounded after these experiences. And I want to say, as important as it is, imagine a tree, as important as it is for it to grow deep roots so that it can have big branches, it is important for you to go very, very, very deep and connect with who you are beyond this need, and also be fully out here making your dreams come true, walking and embodying confidence, making and taking the chances that you want, creating what you want, and living a life of deliciousness, so you can pair both of them. For me personally, even though these experiences can be a little scary at the beginning, it has allowed me to feel much more grounded in my power, much more grounded in knowing who I am, respecting myself, because I know I'm a walking miracle, and so are you. The way in which I work with my clients, and I apply for myself and my own life, is by getting you into flow states so that everything you do comes in alignment. That what you think, that what you say, that what you feel, and that what you do are in the same place. And when you live from that space, believe me that we transform the person that you are, and therefore all the areas of your life come to a level of greatness that is beyond your mind. Just start exploring, going deeper. I'm going to make more videos about this. Just leave me your questions if I can help you discover more. There are some beats that I use as binaural theta beats and frequencies. That is a good place to start. And thank you so much for being here with me. It feels freeing to share with you something that I have always kept so almost like a secret side of me, and letting myself be the weird one. Because if we If we don't start there, then who's going to open those doors so that we can all explore what's possible? I'm Elizabeth Ramirez. You can find me on Instagram as at elizabethramirez.co. And I'm here to help you experience how it is to live the most delicious, fulfilling life. Thank you for joining.